Okay, so James, I'm back.
All right.
I got more questions.
All right, what do you want to talk about?
This past week, you said something that caught my attention, and I want to go into more about it. You said, mind your own isness.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I want you to expound on that a little bit.
Well, you know, when we can learn to see that whatever we deal with in life is what it is, you know. It's not anything else. It is what it is. And when we learn to accept the isness of things and the isness of other people and the isness of life, then we finally can make peace with life. And that's really the only way we can do it. Now, everybody on the planet has a purpose and a reason for being here. Everybody has their thing to do. And so if I am allowing of other people to get where they need to go, to do what they need to do, to be what they need to be, then that will cause me to have a lot more peace and a lot more calmness and a lot more ability to do what I'm supposed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But what if what they're doing affects you in negative ways?
Give me an example.
Well, I don't know. If someone were, they were doing their thing, but it had a direct effect on my life in that it offended me in one way or another, or it affected my finances, or they were doing dirty business dealing, something like that. Right,
right. Well, you know, there are times when you have to, if somebody's isness gets into your isness, you know, if what they're doing is affecting you, then it's time to go and to deal with it in whatever way that you can in order to try to make it right and to figure it out.
And how do you keep that peace during those times? Because it's you know, there's a big fairness issue.
Right.
You know, I have one. I know I've got one.
Yeah.
And when people are getting away with something, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I think everybody has that. You know, they feel like that. A lot of people feel that life is not fair. You know, that their situation is unique and their problems are unique, and nobody's got it as bad as I do. You know, and so if something happens to me, it's worse than somebody else. But the truth is we all have our own. We carry our own karmic energy with us everywhere we go. And so what happens is we are fooled by the circumstances that are around us. We think that everything happening around us is more real than what's happening inside of us. And the truth is what's happening inside of us is what's creating what's happening outside of us.
Well, talk to me a little bit about like karma, the karmic energy you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. Because I mean, yeah, I get the karma thing, but I want to make sure everybody understands it.
Okay, sure. Well, you know, I believe that there is a divine repayment plan, a karmic repayment plan. In other words, whatever energy you put out, you're going to get back. And so, you know, recently there's been a lot of headlines and news about certain court cases where people who have taken the life of someone, or they felt that this person had taken someone else's life. And so a lot of folks felt that this person got off scot-free, and so therefore justice was not served. But the truth is, in life, there is a total and complete balance. You know, there is nothing that isn't exactly where it's supposed to be at any moment in time. And so if you kill somebody, if you murder someone, then you are going to reap what you sow, okay? And it could be that when you pass from this life and you go out into the next life, the very first person you're going to meet is going to be that individual that you took their life. And you're going to have to deal with that. So, you know, nobody gets away with anything. You know, that's the truth. Nobody gets away with anything. And people that think that, you know, that so-and-so's getting off and this is happening and, you know, and there's not justice, there's absolute justice, because everything is balanced. It all balances out. You know, whatever you do will come back to you. It's like the boomerang.
Well, I mean, let's just say it. We're talking about the Casey Anthony trial
Okay,
here.
all right.
And it was, you know, what was interesting about it is,
Yeah.
for me, is that I had heard the name, but when that verdict hit, people were going nuts on
Yeah.
my Facebook page and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and everybody's going crazy. And I really had no idea about anything about the trial.
Right.
I don't watch the news because it's just so negative, because they promote that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't engulfed in it.
Right.
And
So you didn't hear about it?
I didn't know. I knew about the verdict, and I knew everybody was upset, but I
Right.
watched. I had no idea why, and I didn't know.
Well, why
guilty
didn't you
or
care?
I just didn't. I didn't care. I mean, and then when I saw everybody else caring,
Okay.
it really hit me. It's like, man, look how worked up people are getting
Right.
over something that doesn't even affect them.
Right.
And that's what I was talking about, this fairness thing. I mean, had I been involved in it, I probably would have been one of the ones going, "Oh, I can't believe," you know, if that was the case.
Right.
I don't even know.
Right.
So is that, you know, that we're talking about with the karmic debt is why are you worried about? Actually, these people are causing the problem to themselves. I mean,
Right.
they're being affected by more than the mom is, it seems
Yeah,
like.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it was a very sad situation. You know, if in fact this woman took the life of her own child, you know, that's hard for most people to understand. But the people who want fairness, who want justice, justice will be served. You know, and so it's not ours to do. But, you know, if we go around as the punisher, you know, as the one who tries to make justice for everything, then what we're doing is we're putting ourselves in the role of the divine law, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not the ones to do that. And if we're carrying that burden around, then it's going to take over our lives, and it's going to keep us in a state of constant worry. I think it's very admirable that you didn't know about it, you know?
I mean, it was kind of accidental. I can't
just
take
weren't
too much.
paying attention,
I
right?
can't take too much credit. It doesn't interest me, that
Right.
kind of stuff, you
Yeah.
know.
All right.
So the thing that I found interesting, and actually the part that kind of upset me about that
Right.
whole Casey Anthony trial, was that people got so upset about
Yeah.
this child, you know, potentially being murdered or whatever. But as I thought about it, it's like, this happens every day all around the world.
Right, right.
And millions of kids,
Yeah.
you know, dying and things like that, and unfair and all that stuff. Yet here's this one case, and everyone's focused on it, and everybody's up in arms about it, and that just seems so, I don't know, appalling to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think basically it was done for ratings. It was done,
Yeah.
you know, to get people to watch. And of course, people are drawn to watch things that are unfair, because I think a lot of people have that thing inside them where they feel cheated, you know, somewhere in life that somebody took advantage of them. And I think we all have that, and that's what we all deal with. But a lot of times I think television and the media take advantage of that in people.
So why do you think people are more drawn to that negative side rather than, you know, I mean, the news focuses on the negative because that's where people apparently want to watch. That's what they tune in for. They love that stuff.
Yeah.
Why is that? I mean, you know, why aren't they so drawn to the positive stuff?
Right. Because it is what our society has been conditioned for. And so therefore it is easier to do that. And to move to the positive side, it takes effort, it takes energy. And so I believe that the whole universe is bent toward the positive side, okay? But because we have been so fearful, and it's the fear factor,
Yeah.
okay, that creates that.
It's a TV show
Yeah,
title
there
right
you
there.
go, yeah.
That's got to tell you something.
Yeah, exactly. But it is the fear that causes people to be attracted to that, because if you watch somebody else's drama, you know, you get caught up in it and you feel something. You know, a lot of people don't feel in the way that they should. You know, we've lost a connectivity, a sensitivity to our feelings, and we've become more cold and indifferent. And so it takes a bigger jolt these days in order to get people's attention, and that's what this kind of a trial or something does. I mean, it's a terrible thing for a little child to be taken at such a young age. But the truth is that little baby is gone on. That baby still lives. That baby still lives in another place. And so life continues on. And so it's important not to be deceived by circumstances, not to be deceived by what we see with our eyes, because that's only a sliver, just a little part of the story.
Well, how do you think, I mean, if it's skewed positive, let's say that.
Yes.
And is it just that negative is what's worked for so long, and it's just they're lazy, or it's a template, or they just know the ratings will be there if they do that? I mean, here's an example. For me, I used to love to watch Law and Order.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great show. It was well written, it was well acted, all that stuff, and it was kind of short attention span.
Right.
I love that. You know, I love it. It was like boom, boom, boom. Let's get to the points. But I loved it because the writing was so good that they could argue both sides so well that you almost felt like, oh my gosh, I could go either way on this.
Yeah.
Even though it was a terrible crime. But then it hit me. I love the show, but this is all crime and punishment. It's all about something negative that can't be good for me. You know, on a vibrational level or a spiritual level, that can't be good. So I stopped watching it. And I don't know that. I mean, that was just a choice on my part. Now, how do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it all gets back to much of what has been taught to us about the divine, about God, about religion, about spirituality has been very negative. And so it's all about, you know, if you're good, God loves you, but if you're bad, then God's going to do away with you forever and send you to hell. And so that has bled over into every aspect of our society. And so it's kind of ingrained in the consciousness of people. And so it takes hearing something new, you know, a bunch of times before you will accept a new truth. And if that has something that has been told to you all of your life, you know, then it's very difficult to get beyond that.
Or you have to experience it.
You have to, exactly.
And that can save you a little time if you can experience it. But, But you know, I actually heard about a study about how many ministers and priests and stuff had actually experienced God, you know, and they just talk about it, and it was a very low number.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know, if you feel isolated, then you are not connecting with that divine presence that is already within us, you know. And so the key is to make the connection and realize that God, like we talked about before, God is love.
So let's get back to isness, because one of my favorite quotes is, "We only suffer because we want what is to be different."
Right.
And I've always liked that quote. Give me a little, your thoughts on that, because I think that's an interesting quote.
Yeah. Well, it's learning to allow life to unfold in its perfect, beautiful way. You know, life is flawless, life is perfect if we learn how to let it unfold in its own natural course. It's like if you take a little oak seedling that's growing out of the ground and you get mad because it's not a big oak tree, you know, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Because it is perfect exactly where it's at. And I believe that we're all perfect exactly where we're at. And so if we can accept that about each other, instead of having so many expectations, you know, about people, and just let people be who they are and bring the gifts, bring whatever it is that they have, the isness that they are, let them bring that into any relationship, then, you know, what else do you want?
Well, I guess if you know what the end is going to be, the path to it, you don't get so worried or frustrated or upset about it. I don't know, it's kind of, I liken it to tape a football game. And I already know who's going to win. I can watch it with absolute ease. It's so fumble, no problem.
That's
right. I mean, it's kind of a
I like that.
There's an analogy there, you know. But that's the thing. If you really understand where you're going, or really have that connection and have that faith, I guess is a good word. Then the rest of it doesn't seem so upsetting. You know. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. You got it.
Well, thank you about talking about isness with me and minding I'll try to mind my own isness, if you will.
Yeah, I will mind my own isness.
Like I'm putting a condition on you. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Thanks for being with you. I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks a lot, James. Appreciate it. Thank you.